Good morning. Hey, all right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our talk on getting value from the 80% of data that you're not using. A little bit of an evocative title, but it's true, important, especially at a conference where we're talking about things like data is the lifeblood of AI. So I want to make sure folks get this message and are equipped. By a little bit way of background, my name is Zachary Jarvinen, and I have a long history of working in big enterprises, startups, and even the public sector. Probably my claim to fame, quote unquote, is I worked on the Obama presidential campaign digital team in 2008, but I have worked on both sides of the aisle for the US State Department. And fun fact, I speak Spanish and Portuguese fluently. So if anyone wants to rattle off in those languages, come by and talk to me after. And now I lead product marketing for AI and analytics at OpenText. Virgil Dodson.
So I'm Virgil Dodson, and sorry. I have, as you see up here, I've started my career at Cerner as a developer a long time ago. I've then started working for a teensy company called Tidestone, which is not in there, but Actuate is where my start came with analytics and business intelligence and reporting. Within that time period, I was part of Eclipse BERT project, not working for Eclipse, but part of that project. And then now I get my start with AI and machine learning and playing with that with OpenText.
Right on. Thanks, Virgil. And so, why did we call this talk in particular? Well, in large part because we are all here because we are passionate about data, becoming the insights-driven companies that Forrester has highlighted outperform their competitors 8 to 10x in the market, right? We all want that. And because, along with that, the nature of today's data is unstructured. So we all deal with it, right? This is our lives every day. Emails, social media, calls, notes, business documents, contracts, and the like. As companies today, we produce millions and millions of each, all of which is valuable data that heretofore we've thought of, or many of us has thought of, are inaccessible. No longer, right? In many ways, that's why we built this Magellan product, and but it's not about that, it's about solving this problem. As a little bit of background, OpenText, if folks aren't familiar, is known for content products, right? Other people here in the room may know him as the big player that acquired big BI player, Actuate, known for the BERT technology, iHub, big data analytics, et cetera, which are known for enterprise readiness, open standards, and the like. That remains a big part of this kind of evolution of Magellan towards as an AI-augmented analytics platform. The other piece that's really nice, and that's what we're talking about here today, in line with our content roots, is that we specialize, and there's an opportunity out there in the market for quote-unquote big content, what we call big content, in addition to big data, which deserves equal attention in the marketplace. And the ability to acquire, merge, manage large amount of that we all are using that's stored in our enterprise information management systems. So how does that work from kind of an architecture perspective? Any technology that is meant to address this needs to be able to take in the data there on the left. Any type, right? Social, we should be building agnostic platforms, insights platforms that can take in social data, contract data, capture data, machine data, application data, right? We have so much across our enterprises. Agnostically, we need to be able to take it all in so that we can do the things that we're traditionally do in terms of reporting, splice, dice, visualize, etc. We anchor this with Spark, which of course enables efficient crunching of immense amounts of data. You can do it other ways. And of course, we round it out with that machine learning that we're all now passionate about to predict the future, right? To make even better decisions, to yield insights, and even better than that, we like to automate actions. We built in workflow capabilities, and we encourage many folks to do the same. If it's just a pretty dashboard and nothing happens, it was all for naught, right? You want to automate actions. So specifically, and if you saw in that square, there's a little square that said text analytics. And that's if you're saying, okay, how do I help with my content? I need to make sense of all this content. Well, technically what that is text mining, AKA a multilingual advanced neural language processing solution. So NLP, you should hear in the market, NLP, you know what that is now. Natural language processing, the ability to process, machine read data just like you would, or a human would, but having a machine do it with all the benefits of scale and so on. We'll go into that. Why do we care? So this is, it's neat to understand it technologically. That was part of this talk. But we also want to spend some time, and I'll pass in a second over to Virgil to demo some of it. We want you to see how it works and also understand some of the challenges. Some of it is just simply making our data and our analytics better, right? If you can bring in that extra data, we all know, right? That makes our data better. Others are unique challenges that can only be unlocked with unstructured. So in terms of understanding customer opinions by being able to machine read their surveys on math, right? En masse, not just when they clicked a quant score, but actually be able to read the freeforms text. Other applications like being able to read, we heard yesterday, if folks were in the talk, man, we just merged 3 different companies and now we're all using a single email and all that content's coming in and we need to route that more efficiently. Enterprise correspondence, you need a machine to be able to read that data, understand what's happening, get it to the right person based on past transactions, based on what's actually being said in the documents in the millionfold or at scale. Ops, there's tons more. FinServe, we'll see a little bit of that towards the end. I know there's a lot of FinServe folks here today. So before we talk a little bit more about that, I thought it would be helpful. We wanted for folks to see it live in action. So I'll pass it over to Virgil to do exactly that.
All right, we're going to start with text mining. And in this case, we don't mean simply just taking scraping data. We mean extracting the data, analyzing it, pulling out things like entities, topics, concepts, even sentiment, and then applying natural language processing to it in a cognitive way, much like a human, to correctly categorize and classify that data into the correct buckets. So in this example, and I'm going to show multiple products, and we're going to whiz right through these. So if for some reason this is too fast, come track us out at the booth, and we'll give you a much deeper demo. But we're going to go quick on these. So with text mining, I'm going to go and talk about grabbing a single document. So if I copy this document into a blog we found here, into the text mining engine, and run this, we're going to very quickly extract the content from here, and as well as analyze it and return some classifications. So we can find in this document here the most relevant people. Jennifer was the author of that article. Most relevant places, Orlando it found. Most relevant organizations, Facebook it found in here. Department of Treasury it found in here as well. So lots of things. It analyzed the sentiment as well. So we found in here the most positive sentence, the most negative sentence, as well as the different topics found. You'll see a summary at the bottom, so you can define how big the summary should be based on the percentage of the input text and the number of sentences you want out. And then, like I said, behind here, we've got the entities that we see above, the people, the places, the organizations. We also have concepts. So I can think data communication, data strategy, marketing communication, all found in that document as well as sentiment. So that particular document, it found mostly opinion, some fact, and mostly neutral. But it did find some negative and some positive sentences in there. And each one of these things not only gets marked as positive, marked as negative, it gets a score. So the most positive thing was only 45% positive, so it wasn't overly glee. And the most negative thing was only 53% negative, so it's not an incredibly negative article either. So this is what happens with a single document. And so I've done the similar thing with your abstracts, right? So if you were to go out to the Data Strategy and Insights Conference and you were browsing which topic you want to find, you'll find things like Deriving Business Outcome of Data Science, right? You might know by the title that data science is what you're looking for, but you might not know as you look down at the concepts found in here. I need to switch my glasses. And sorry about that. I can't see at the moment. So there we go. And so you might not know that artificial intelligence was mentioned in that first session as well. So being able to browse by concept and by topic and by complex concepts as well, you can more accurately get an idea of what's in that document. So if I were to quickly pick on one of our own again, if I look at our own talk here, deriving insights from unstructured data, you might know we're going to talk about unstructured data because it's in the title. I hope you would know. You might not know we're going to talk about product sentiment, right? And so there's a lot of value in being able to know what the document is about, not just what it says. So I also want to switch to a much larger demo. So let's say you have, say, 30,000 documents you want to, or more you want to interrogate very fast. So before I switch to this next part of the demo, I do have an important disclaimer. So while this was a popular topic in the news for the last couple of years, we're not making any political statements about this, and we're simply demonstrating how well we can manage and extract data from very extremely large amounts of unstructured data. So having said all that, these emails below belong to Hillary Clinton. And so we've gone down to the public domain, and they're out there, and you could go grab them, but we've taken them and analyzed them. And so while there was a short time frame to analyze these, we believe we could have done it in half that time. So there are categories. If I decided, let's see, what we have on terrorism, I could simply select these and filter the documents as well. But you'll also find things like children in here as well, family. So there are a lot of concepts that are involved in these emails. And if I click on any one of these particular, we're going to analyze not only in aggregate, but now back to the individual detailed document, find out this was about crimes and war, and do some highlighting of the data off to the right. So we can very quickly analyze this data that we found for Hillary Clinton. So that was just a kind of quick peek at that. People, places, concepts, or whatever we pulled out of there. You can find trends for that data behind here. So the total number of documents that was filtered down to now is 3,000. A lot easier to digest than 30,000 if you were having to go through these. We can also look at entity trends over time, and we've got a period here. So Hillary was emailing herself as well as Barack Obama. Scroll down to, say, Bill Clinton and add him in here as well. And there's a period where, certainly from this email box, Hillary was emailing Barack Obama more than her own husband here. So probably expected. She sees him at home. So, and finally, if we want to display this in aggregate, there's lots of ways to do it. We can do it in dashboards. We can do it in reports, different things. Here we have kind of a nice display of different devices. So here we're crawling out in the Twitter sphere, the various outlets. And so if I switch to the bottom here, we're going to places like Twitter, and as well as different news outlets. And we're pulling up sentiment that people talk about with their phones, right? So we wanted to know not only that they're talking about it, but how positive and pleased they were about it. And then we categorize that as well. So they're talking about battery life, or they're talking about games and support, and we can see what they really think about that. And as well, I can click on a phone, say the Galaxy J3, and very easily and quickly do a comparison against another phone out here. So this is one way of demonstrating and showing that data. And now I want to switch back to Zach for now, and we'll get back into another part of the demo here in a minute.
Great. Thanks, Virgil. And we encourage folks to think about, these are just a few examples. So think about your own challenges, right? Do you have a key program if you're a public sector entity that you want to show? Do you have, are you a big consumer company? You want to compare your products against another? What are the other applications? We built ours as a platform that is meant to handle any use case, any gnarly, Mark Galtieri says, gnarliest use cases OpenText can handle. So come to us, we'll talk about that, we can describe that. Nonetheless, as kind of a thought starter, we wanted to talk about, there's a lot of buzz in the market around AI, et cetera, and so we wanted to talk about other kind of concrete use cases. How can I apply this now, in my business? So that's what we'll focus on. You saw one there with the program or product tracker. You saw a little bit on the kind of document storage that can also be extended to compliance, right? You can think about all the other different ways that you could sift through documents and find things. We'll also talk about capture, and if we have time, recommendations or more intelligent recommendations. So the first on the capture side, we call AI augmented capture, or sometimes I like to call I have a warehouse of documents outside of town problem capture, and I know many of you here that applies to. You came by the booth yesterday and you admitted to it. somebody with documents in a salt mine in Kansas, very large organization. You will not be named. But that's the point, right? We still use a massive amount of paper documents. Or we have an archive of them that we want to digitize, right? So we can then get rid of that real estate cost. This also applies, right, can be applied again, going back to enterprise correspondence. Okay, no, we don't have the document problem, but we have this digitization problem, or we need better onboarding, right? We all fill out those I-9s, right, when we switch jobs, and there's all these things where we need a wet ink signature that still need to be done on paper. What is a more efficient way? There has to be a better way using AI to address that. So that's what AI augmented capture is about. We'll see it in a second, but just before we do, just to understand, why would we want a machine to do that? Why would we want AI to be able to help with that? Well, we can think about it, right? As humans, we're limited. They actually do this. That's what, if folks are familiar with capture, you will have some sort of digitization, but then you actually have a human operator who's kind of typing away. Limited to a page a minute, if best. They've done a lot of benchmarking around that. There's tons of neat data about this. Human judgment can vary, right? There's the study of Israeli judges that get bad after lunch or these type of things, right? We have issues as humans. We have also things that we can do better, which we'll get to in a second. Machines, the folks that do this for us, that have, on the machine side, do tens of millions, hundreds of millions of documents a year. It's very easy to do it at machine scale. It can be multilingual, it can be trainable, it can speak 8 languages, and be trainable to your kind of taxonomies, what we call, right? The ontologies or vernacular of your business and these type of things. So what does that look like, right? So here's just a document. Could be any document. It doesn't have to be something with a brand name on it. But specifically, the way it works, and this is just, again, like Virgil showed, for a single document, but it can be done en masse. We'll see that in a second. So for a single document, just using a phone, but again, it could be from a scanner or an email or anything else. We're snapping a picture of it. We're cropping it. We're digitizing it as you would just via a scanner or anything else. But what we add, or the AI, how it augments it, is that in addition to just digitizing it with a name or whatever automatic name, it's actually reading what's in the document. So it's saying, here are the important people, places, things, what's going on. There was an allergic reaction. It has to do with this type of antihistamine, right? Just as we would with humans, as we're scanning through paper, we're pulling the key points. We're reading it, but what we retain are it's these people, it's these things, it's that issue. And so that's the way you can think about it. And then finally, rooting it more intelligently. You can see here it going to an extended ECM, but it can go anywhere. It can go to your operator, that knows, hey, if it's ever these type of issues, go to this sales support person who's our pro with this sales support issue, or if it's or their account manager, or pick a thing, right? All of that can be kind of intelligently set up. Again, one document. Now think about it en masse, right? Any document, email, pick a thing. Digitize, this is how the process flow works. Extract, and then this is what's fun. This is what brings us back to Forrester data strategy and insights, is analytics. So people, when you think about it, right, we're doing millions of documents. That actually can be, AI can be scary, right? At that scale, right? There's the benefit there, so we want to do it, but it could be scary, right? So how do we retain power? How do we retain, we like to say in a fun way, the human overlord overlooking the AI and not the Skynet the other way around, but it's analytics, right? It's having clear dashboards and KPIs that visualize that process, that know what type of documents are being processed, what's being said. Yeah, that's in line with my gut. I've done this for 30 years. I know that it should be these type of documents, these type of things, and I'm seeing it, so I believe it. Or, there's some edge cases. There's some documents with coffee spilled on them, pick a thing, they're in a weird format. Now my trusty capture staff gets to spend their human brain going through those documents. The AI can be trained to route those edge cases to your humans to be able to handle those, not the mundane tasks that they're typically doing today at a slow rate. So moving to close, the final section, we'll take questions or anything, or come by. We'd love to show more details or talk afterwards. But the final section that we wanted to show a little bit around, just because there was a lot of FinServ in the audience, or we saw attending the show, we met some of you, had the fortunate opportunity to meet some of you in insurance, et cetera, but is around AI augmented product recommendations or more intelligent recommendations, right? We've all deal with this challenge, even in any business, right? Retail, pick a thing. People are numb, become numb to offers as we show them things, as we blast them on the marketing side. I've been guilty of it. I've been a marketer in a past life, right? It's about how do we understand their entire customer profile, bringing in their social data, other type of unstructured data we know about them, reading their support records, et cetera, completing that 360-degree picture so that we can better serve them, right? So we can give them highly personalized content, highly personalized offers, that we know which ones would want exactly what product. We're not wasting their time. We're not wasting our people's time who are going after them. That's what this is about. So we'll pass it to Virgil to the final demo, but it's about describing them, it's about showing, increasing your win rate, it's about understanding their voice better. That's what we can do.
All right, so I've shown already a couple of interfaces, a dashboard, a simple text mining interface. There are multiple interfaces within these products, and it's separated by skill set, and the most important thing is that these interfaces all work together. So we're looking at a dashboard here, and if we consider the financial services industry, they've had quite a bit of shakeup in the digital age. How easy it is to switch banks and switch investment companies. You can simply call somebody or do something on the internet now. It used to be really hard. So keeping customers is definitely easier than getting new ones. So if I consider myself as a marketing manager, I'm looking at an investment category, the top orange on the left side here. Well, it looks as though from the surface that everything's going fine. So revenue's up. If I drill in to this, or drill down into this, I can actually see that while a lot of it's going up, there is a certain category, the investment ISAs, that's going down. So let's have a peek at that. So if I switch over to my marketing tab, I can see my smart marketing year-over-year change. It's the orange one again, is actually going down. But again, drilling down into that detail, we'll say, while most of the investment, or most of the category is going down, the particular investment ISAs is still, our spend is pretty high. And generally, the more you spend, the more you get back in return. In this case, it's not, and so we need to find out why. So off to the left here, or to the right, your right, we'll see that if this number here, 0.7%, is for our overall investment category of our opportunities to win. So we're able to convert 0.7% of those people we attack at this place. There's a 0.2% for the investment ISA product, so it's way underperforming the entire category. And if I look at the bottom, we can see we've been spending, and the darker arrows here, we can see we've been spending on the higher age group and not so much on the lower age group. So the young people we're not spending on, we're concentrating on the older people at a lower income, right? So we've spent less on our 35 to 50K crowd. So we can do some things like take a peek at what's going on here. So I'm going to pop into another interface. This is a very quick look at a drag-drop interface for your analysts. And let me log in here. And this tool allows us very fast exploration of large amounts of data. So I'm going to quickly take a look at the profile of our existing customers. So I'll go into Analytics and into Profile. And then down in my recommendation engine example and my accounts. So I'm looking particularly for people that own the product investment ISA. So I'll take my investment ISA and I'll add this as a segment of people that I want to profile. So only those people that show up there. I also want to take, and as a baseline, make this product category of investments. So now, if I simply drag from my customer table my age band, I'll quickly create a profile. And off to the right here, I have a profile showing a Z-score based on my customers. So if I add other things in here, and I'm going to add the right things. So we've got income band and children, the gender of our user as well, whether they're a homeowner and whether they're married is another thing I can grab. So, and it quickly creates a profile of what my customer actually looks like. And so I know my best opportunity of a customer is actually in 35 to 50K, which I already realized that we'd stop spending on. So we can do things like simply target that group as well. I can share this profile out as a gadget in a dashboard so other people can use it within the organization. I can also share it as a data set. But we're going to jump over quickly to another way of attacking this problem, and we're going to create a model. So if I go into the notebook, this notebook is It's based on the Jupyter Notebook if you have any data scientists in the room, and this is the Magellan Notebook. So this is a place where you can write Python, R, things that data scientists are already using. And since we based it on Jupyter Notebook, you can very easily drag in examples from notebook galleries around the world. You don't have to reinvent each new model you want to create. You can simply use them. This is a simple model that does some collaborative filtering to bring in and analyze, based on this customer that we pass in on these products, what's their likelihood of buying this product, right? So we can get a list of the highest and lowest people that are most likely to buy our product. So some first couple steps is here. I can import some packages and data. And while this might seem daunting, the data scientist really loves this space. He can collaborate with other users as well. I can explore the data. I can massage it, do what I need to it. I can train it and test it. In this case, we're using the 80-20 rule, train with 80, test with 20. And finally, once my algorithm is satisfied, now it's working like I like it, I can publish and execute that model. So this is different than people that are using Jupyter Notebook today. We have the opportunity to push that directly into the face of the other users. They can use it without understanding the complexity. So once I publish this, I'll leave some placeholders for the data, so a few places for them to put the data, and simply publish it. Now back in my knowledge workers environment here, let's switch to the Spark Gateway. In this environment, I can see all my data as well as these models that my data scientist has created. So if I click on the ML tab here, I do get, indeed, a recommendation model. And this model needs some data. So if I go into my recommend ISA and simply drag this table over, if the fields match, they will automatically pre-populate, and they do. Otherwise, I can drag them over one by one. And then I could take this data and create a new table. So we're just going to call this one FORR and execute it. So up to the top right, we're churning. We're actually sending all this data back into Spark, letting it run the model, and then bringing back the recommendation out. So now a new table has popped up called FORR, and if I explore this data, or this table, I'll find a new field in here called prediction. And sorting this with the highest number on top will show me, based on this, everything with the collaborative filtering model, this customer at the top here is most likely, 51% likely to buy over the customer at the very bottom of that list who might not like to buy at all. So we've now created a nice quick list. Again, I can share this data as well. Now, so far we've looked at structured data. And if I want to bring in, say, unstructured data, back to my tab, I'll go to the Customer Insights tab. So what we've done here is we've actually gone out to some social, bring in and search for our products, and we've mixed that with our internal metadata so that we can find out things like what people are actually saying about our products and compare that as well. So if I look at the second line here, the investment ISAs, there's a lot of orange here. That orange is negative mentions. And if I say compare that against competitors as well, we'll see in the investment ISA category, again, the second one down, again, we're getting a lot of negative mention and others aren't. So we can actually go find out why. And if I pop over to one more tab here, this is our customer sentiment feedback tab. And this is the actual analysis of the social data. So I can come down and say, well, let's pull up the negative data, particularly for the investment ISA product. And then specifically for organizations of Innovate. And Innovate Bank. So I'll take both of these. So now if I look at these, I've got a couple of negative sentences. There's a bunch more if I select both of these, but I'll pick on one of these very quickly and show you that this is the article body. I find the categories, but most importantly, in this really small font, it says somebody's had trouble finishing their online application. And actually, if I click on a couple of these, the same thing over and over shows. So if I go back to my analysis here of my data, directly from this tool, since this is an API-driven tool, we can launch another interface. So I can say from the web team, tell the developer that, that there's a problem submitting on the website. I can click OK with this, send it off, and this person will get notified that, or a business process actually gets kicked off that we need this site looked at. So that's a very quick whirlwind of what I wanted to show there, and I want to switch, I think, back to.
And it's amazing that sometimes it's the website's broken. It's a small thing, but it actually happens to all of us, the big and small. But could be many other things. Hope you guys got some insights. We can show you more specifically. We can take through different examples and whatnot. Of course, a lot of people are doing this, very big companies, et cetera. We'd love to talk you through your use cases. We're over time, so just in kind of summary, we built a platform, so we'd love to talk about any kind of use case and help guide you guys through, be your partner, guide through some of these things. We hope you got value in the presentation. We hope you learned something from the specific applications. You can understand tangibly that's an AI ML application. We can do something with it, and that's it. Come see us, come talk afterwards, come see us at the booth. We hope you guys had a great show just like we had, and we hope to see you guys again on another occasion.